You know, I never expected to hear a joke quite like this from Golden Kamuy. It's something I would expect from Gintama, but never from Golden Kamuy. Even despite all the comedy we have gotten thus far from the series, I just didn't think we'd get a joke like that. But that aside for now, did this episode really just do a lot of, boner jokes? I don't even know where to begin. This episode took me by surprise, because, Nihei, with his introduction, he seemed like this epic, cool dude, and he is. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying that was my impressions of him when I first saw him at the end of last episode. This episode comes around, he's still a cool character, I love him, and I love his voice actor, matches him perfectly, I think, and all of a sudden, he starts talking about boners and stuff, and I'm just like, is this man serious? Are you serious right now? And then we get a scene with Outsmarts and all that when she's, eating with, Sugimoto, and we see how she is launched through the hut. And at first glance, I didn't really notice it until I watched the episode a second time, but that scene where she's launched through the hut and she's just hanging out, that's a boner joke. That's a boner joke, because the dude was talking about that earlier on in the episode. He was saying, don't go through the roof and all that, and then Outsmarts does that in the episode. Just are you serious right now? Come on now, Golden Kamuy. But yeah, the jokes were pretty funny. It's definitely not going to be for everyone, but it really caught me by surprise. Now, speaking of that, I want to get into just the tone of the series for a second. I know I've talked about it. I've talked about how it has a perfect blend of comedy and serious moments. I've talked about this already. But the way the series is able to do that, it just astounds me, because you just do not see this done properly with a lot of series. A lot of seinen writers, even fail this in general. And just seeing how Golden Kamuy was able to mix that throughout this episode, you have these, serious moments with Nihei and all that, the next moment he's talking about boners, and the next moment we have, hunting for a wolf, and then back to comedy again. I'm just like, yo, the way this is done, it doesn't feel like it's too distracting, it doesn't feel like it's, destroying the plot or, the characters. It meshes perfectly with this series, and so just job well done, Golden Kamuy, job well done the entirety of the production team that is working on this series, because it's not just the author that made this really good, it's the team that's working on it that's able to express the comedy and the voice actors as well. So anyways, this episode, there's not a whole lot of progression in terms of plot. It's mainly a slow burn episode. It's an episode focusing on Nihei and the soldier with him and how they display themselves, how they want to hunt. And a bunch of our characters throughout this episode get characterization or development. Mainly Sugimoto, the military dude, and then Nihei. Those are the three main characters that are in the spotlight. And I guess also, the wolf as well, because technically we get some characterization of how this wolf has survived for a very long time, thanks to just the cunning skills to be able to analyze the situation or watch people that are watching it or looking for it. So, overall, there were some good little scenes throughout this episode, but in terms of progression for the tattoos and stuff, there wasn't a whole lot of that. But it doesn't mean that this is a bad episode. In fact, I say this is one of my favorite episodes of Golden Kamuy to date, just because of the way it was done. Sugimoto, his characterization in this episode, it's very subtle, it's very quick, but it holds a lot of weight for his character going forward for the series. Now, I don't know exactly how this is going to go forward, with his development, but it's very clear that after he left the war, he has never been the same person. He may call himself the immortal Sugimoto, he may call himself just immortal in general, or he can't die or whatever, but we get to see the inner psyche of him and kind of how he feels ever since he was in the war. He has PTSD. I don't know how many of you caught that, but when you saw the deer running towards him and he froze up and you saw the flash of the deer with, him, and then the deer eyes, human with deer eyes and all that, that right there was to symbolize PTSD. And it was very creepy, a very creepy sequence for the episode, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't expect that. I guess it's to be expected when you think that he's a veteran from a war. I mean, you would expect something like that. It's just like he hasn't really shown much of that throughout the series, and now we get to see this, and I'm just like, well, this is definitely going to be very important in the future, him having this PTSD and all that. You know, he saw how similar the deer was to himself, so let's get into that. So the reason why Sugimoto really couldn't take down the deer, like why he couldn't finish it, was because he saw himself in the deer. Now, I know many of you are like, but Chibi, it's a deer. He's a human. They're not the same. Well, yeah, in a way, yes, you're right. But the thing is the deer, it was struggling. It was struggling for its very life. It did not want to die. And like any creature right before it's about to meet death, it will fight and struggle to its last breath. And that's what Sugimoto has been doing throughout his entire life, or especially when he was in the war. And when he saw the deer struggling, running, continuously running away and all that, and he saw the blood out of its side all dried up or, all just frozen completely, it showed that the deer was doing everything it possibly could to not die. And Sugimoto, that's why he couldn't shoot, because he's like, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I have been through. I have gone so far to the extreme to not die, and that's what the deer is doing. And so that is why he couldn't end its life. And so I felt bad for Sugimoto. I felt bad for the deer. And I do think that this is probably going to be very important for the future of the series, because PTSD doesn't just go away. It sticks with you for sometimes your entire life after something happens. So we'll see where that goes. I'm curious on where the development of Sugimoto will take us, because that is something that I love in stories, and it really depends on how it's utilized, though, if it really is good. Now, moving over to other characters, let's talk about Nihei for a second. So Nihei, he's a weird one. He's a weird individual, not gonna lie, but I love his character, because voice actor nailed him perfectly. I don't think they could have gotten a better voice actor for Nihei, and then on top of that, I really just love the way he carried himself throughout this episode, especially when he was talking about hunting, or what he would do, his obsession, what he would do for hunting. Like, if someone was to try to steal his, hunt, his bear that he took down, he would go out of his way to hunt people. Like, that is pretty savage. Like, let's get into that. So, he took down a bear, and the reason why he ended up in jail in the first place, and why he has tattoos on him, was because this group tried to steal his hunt, his game that he got. And he's like, look, if you guys are trying to steal from me, you best be ready and all of that. And then they continued. And so he went after them. He went after to try to hunt them down. And he took down 2 people. Like, he destroyed and slaughtered 2 people in cold blood that were just out in the wilderness. And eventually the third guy he found, that he decided just, go into the authorities, like, look, I want to get arrested, but the dude didn't care. He didn't want that. So he just went up and just ended the dude right then and there, which shows that this man, if you become his target, he's going to go to extreme lengths to be able to take you down. The police is not going to stop him, which really pegs him as a really scary individual, because he didn't just go to jail because he was, just wanting to kill people. He did it because of for purpose. For instance, they wanted to stop him and steal from him. And so I'm just like, yo, what? So, I mean, Nihei, he is not an individual you want to wrong. You don't want to put him on your bad side, which that's exactly what Sugimoto is doing in this episode, because the man is killed for very little reason. So, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the soldier. So the soldier that is working with Nihei, I didn't expect him to get as much development that he's been getting in these recent episodes. I figured he was going to be a very minor character, someone that was going to be easy to just write off and push away, but that obviously does not seem to be the case. The character actually seems to be very important, at the very least for this arc or segment of the story, because he wants to hunt a wolf, and his hunting blood is wanting to hunt this wolf. And technically, we get some insight to his character that he also doesn't feel at home anymore. He doesn't want to go home. He doesn't want to go back to the military. He just feels useless. He doesn't feel like he has really any purpose. And so his soul basically is wandering through the woods, just his old heritage, his blood and all that, wandering through the woods just wanting to be a hunter, but he has lost his true purpose of what he was doing in the past. So I like his character. I like the way he's been characterized in recent episodes. Like I said, I just did not think he would be this important, especially after this episode. Just like, yo, what? Now, let's talk about the wolf for a second. So the wolf surprised me. I know wolves are intelligent creatures. I know they are, because I actually have had a 75% wolf and 25% husky mixed, and I know how wolves can be. I know how they are. And I know they're intelligent creatures. I know that they can easily outsmart a human depending on, given wolf and what their upbringing was. So I know they're not dumb by any means. But just seeing the explanation to why, Asarpa's wolf has survived for so long and how it's constantly, fooled people trying to track it down, or how it watches people, or how it literally took a dump on the corpse, which was the censorship. It's freaking hilarious, not gonna lie. I had a good laugh there. But just the way the wolf was described, I'm like, it's not gonna be easy. I mean, you would think it'd be easy to take down a wolf, especially when you compare it to something like a bear, but that does not seem to be the case at all. Because, I mean, a bear is smart. Yes, they are smart creatures as well, but a wolf as well, the way they act very mysterious. They can be, lone wolves, like, no pun intended. They can be stealth, hide, and wait for their prey, and that's kind of what, the wolf was doing. And so, it wasn't just the hunters like Nihei hunting down the wolf. In a way, the wolf was also hunting them, watching them, seeing what they were doing. And I like the way this episode was very realistic in a way of how certain animals would try to, seek its survival. Like the deer running away. That makes perfect sense. That's what animals do. They want to survive. To, what the wolf is doing, trying to hide its scent or being smart and outsmart humans. Some creatures can actually do that. So, overall, a great episode of Golden Kamuy. I don't think it could have been handled in any better way, and I think many can agree with me that this is a pretty fun series. Now, comedy-wise, we get some good, character expressions or facial expressions from Asarpa again in this week's episode, which is just... I love her face, dude. When she's like, I don't want Sugimoto to die. I'm just like, yo, that's cute. And I mean, if this would have been any other series, that's definitely a death flag, but I highly doubt Sugimoto's gonna die since he's the MC. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. I love you guys. Chibi out.